I mean, I think ultimately, Babylonian system, Babylon obviously goes back to Babel. You go back originally, that's where man decided to make a name for himself rather than glorifying God and begin to connect to other sources through the tower that they built, which was a technological communication device, and that affected other dimensional realities, and God came and stopped them from doing any more. So there were some abilities which were lost when God confused the languages. Really, it was more that he took away abilities to use sound and to use that creatively, because man were going to misuse it in a way. So God did something to stop that. Well, Jesus came back to restore that which had been lost, and to restore that which was subject to death. Now, death is not just death per se, but it's the use of something in a way which is inappropriate, which does not align with the abundance of life that God intends. So technically, Jesus overcame all that and is here to restore everything back to God's original purpose and condition, and he wants to use us in that. So how do we not get involved with the system of the world? First of all, we've got to find intimacy with the Father, so we know what the Father's doing, because Jesus only did what he saw the Father doing in relationship. When we have restored intimacy, then we will be able to follow the source of life that comes from God, which you could call the river of life, tree of life. All those are sort of synonymous terms, really, representing the life of God, the abundant life that Jesus promised us. But we live in a world where the enemy wants to rob, kill, and destroy. So we've got to engage that abundant life and generate that energy from within. So rivers of living water are flowing from our innermost being. So we become a source of life, a source of energy, a sort of light on earth as it is in heaven. So that means you can't operate independently or humanistically if you're going to be not operating according to that knowledge, because that is independent knowledge of God that we try and do ourselves without God. So we've got to abandon that, reject it, renounce it, stop trying to figure it out, sort it out ourselves, and we trust in his provision, protection, and direction, just as Jesus said, seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you. Don't worry. Don't be anxious. Don't try and sort it out yourself. Go to the throne of grace to find help. But we're used to independently trying to figure everything out. But man just keeps making it worse, generally. So you could say some things have got better and better, but the underlying things actually are no really different. If you follow independence, it always ends up in a mess. So we may have a lot of technological advancements, but we're still using them to kill each other. We're still using them in a form of greed. So I've got this and I'm not giving it to you. Or if I give it to you, I'm going to sell it to you at a huge inflated amount. And I'm going to profit from you, which was not covenant. Covenant was what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. We're in relationship. We're here to bless each other. Totally different dynamic to what we see in the world. So that is the system which the world functions under. So people have to start functioning in another system or another kingdom, which is God's kingdom. It starts with knowing God in intimacy and knowing love, knowing our identity, knowing who we are, and outworking our identity from that place of intimacy with God. Therefore, we don't need to try and figure something out independently, because we have all the knowledge, insight, wisdom we need in our relationship with God. Yeah. And as sons, we have creative ability to be able to steward, to overcome, and to rule, because Jesus took the kingdom from the Father and gave it to us. So it's our responsibility to establish through God's kingdom, which is a kingdom of love, not a violent kingdom or one of war, but one that love never fails, is persistent. That ultimately will free us from any need to function independently. But our minds need to be renewed. Yeah, and we all have to come to that point of yielding and surrendering to the Spirit and not follow the dictates of the soul, but come back into wholeness and oneness ourselves, spirit, soul, body. Yeah, that will set up a whole different way in which we interact with God, creation, and everything else. You know, now I know people just focus on a Babylonian system and they think that's a system of finance and a system of this, and it may well incorporate a lot, but bottom line is it's just independence and doing things independently of God, really.
Wow.
And it makes people weary, wears them out. And Jesus said, all who are weary and heavy laden, come to me, find rest. Because he's our source. He's our supply. He's the life, the abundance that we need. Yeah. So people are still looking for the fountain of life, immortality through technology. Hence, some people, get cryogenically frozen or have their heads cryogenically frozen, so that when medical research thinks they're going to come back to life, they're dead physically. Just because their body was frozen or their brain was frozen doesn't mean that they're there. Just their body's not decomposed. They're somewhere else, one way or another. And people have tried to come up with something that is going to be our solution to the problem of death. Jesus is the solution of the problem of death. He overcame death and brought life and immortality to light through the gospel. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. We really appreciate you taking the time. If you enjoy these videos, would you please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe? It really does help. Thank you very much.